So, Bellator 243, Bellator 243, Friday, 7th of August 2020. So, I would have watched the fights, and from what I gather, from what I've been hearing, some pretty good fights that were not put on, but were arranged for that night. It was a pretty stacked fight card. But unfortunately, I couldn't watch it. I had to work late, and when the matches were on, I would have been sound asleep because the time the matches would have been aired live, and we would have seen it here in the UK. It would have been in the middle of the night, around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., and that would have been evening time over on the east side of the US. But it really brought to my attention that there's something about Bellator there's something that the UFC has that Bellator doesn't have. And it kind of made me question, what is it about the UFC that they seem to have this sort of star power, this sort of stardom power, whenever they're hosting an event, even if the fights are not going to be that good, many people still tune in on whatever platform you're using, YouTube, pay-per-view, TV, whichever form you're going to watch in, and will still watch the event. But with Bellator, that doesn't seem to happen. You see, I say that because when I was trying to see if I could find any highlights on YouTube or anywhere on the internet of Bellator 243 of the fights, the main bits of the fights that happened, I couldn't see any at all. All I could see really was just the press conferences of the fighters after the matches had taken place. And I was really taken aback because when the UFC had Fight Island, there were previews all over the internet, everywhere, all over YouTube. So with the UFC, you could actually see the main bits of the fight without even have to see it live or pay the pay-per-view to see, at least for over here in the UK. What is it about the UFC that they seem to have this sort of attraction? Even if the event's not going to be that good, they can still draw so many people in. People still pay to watch the fight. Again, I make this point. This is a sport, and this is something that I'm still very new to. So I know to many people I'll sound very foolish and naive when I say certain things in this video and ask certain questions. But I still have a lot to learn from the kickboxing and the boxing and other sparring things I do to how the actual business of MMA works. So for the two companies, I know the UFC has been around for a lot longer. Bellator has been around for approximately 12 to 14 years. They started out in 2008. It's owned by a guy called Scott Coker, and it's also partly owned by a company called Viacom in the US. But from what I gather, fighters tend to be happier in Bellator, even though they don't get the same popularity and even credit for how good of a fighter they are. In the UFC, you're not treated from what I'm hearing from fighters. Fighters are not treated that well, but they're a lot more popular because they're fighting. They're working for an organization that's a household name around the world, especially in the United States. So you get much more exposure to the mainstream limelight. But on that side of things, from what I've been hearing, many fighters are not treated well in the UFC. Dana White isn't as humble or respectful or as nice as Scott Coker is, and so I do know, and it's not something that's uncommon. Many people know this, that many fighters, when they're done in the UFC, whether they finish their contracts or whether they've been cut from the company, they go over to a company like Bellator and sign up there. And even though they don't enjoy the same sort of popularity or stardom, they feel happier there, and they're treated much better there, more or less. An example of issues in the UFC that I've heard of is that a particular fighter was called randomly when I think they were not training for a particular match. They didn't have a match coming up, and they were told, you're fighting this guy, blah blah blah, you need to make this weight, you need to cut this weight and be prepared for the fight. And I think they said to the other person on the phone, well, I can't, I'm busy, I'm with a family right now, I'm not prepared for this, you're only just asking me now, and it's not something I'm ready for. And I think they were told, well, if you can't do it, we're just going to cut you. You're just going to be more or less be sacked or fired from the organization, just like that. And from what I've been hearing from other fighters in Bellator, that rarely ever happens. In Bellator, it's mainly about the sport itself. I think in Bellator, fighters are more or less saying you're treated more like a human, even more than a fighter, than anything else. That you're treated with far more respect and humility than people at the UFC are. I think the UFC, the company has has evolved over the years. It's grown into a massive billion-dollar corporation that now it's more about the money than the fights, and even more about the money than the sport itself. There's been the issues of the sponsorship deals, like the controversy and the issues surrounding the Reebok deal that actually forced many fighters just to leave because they just weren't going to stand for the fact that they wouldn't be earning as much money as they potentially would have been if God, what happened? I think basically they're going to be losing a lot of money with that Reebok deal, and it's just something that in a sport whereby they need they need that money, especially with regards for their health, from taking all the blows and all the injuries involved in the sport. Of course, they need that income just to save it for a rainy day, and of course they're supporting their families and their wider families as well. So there was that issue that forced many fighters to leave UFC and go to other organizations such as Bellator. But it's still it's something that really stuck out for me when I tried to look for the highlights for the Bellator 243 fighting event. I could virtually find no highlights at all of the fights that happened, just press conferences of the athletes after the match, and that was it. And and that's the reason why I asked myself that question. Wow, what is it about the UFC that they can more or less get away with a lot of things that the other organizations such as Bellator can't? Again, guys, this is a sport that I'm still learning so much about. So I know I sound like a novice and an idiot when I do make videos like this and say certain things and ask certain questions. So if you have any answers or your opinion on the whole matter, please leave in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy the video, please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can find me on Instagram. My name is IkeOJarko1, and on Facebook and Twitter, my name is IkeOJarko. And with regards to the podcast, I know I've said this almost a zillion times now, that is in the works, guys. It is going to happen, I promise you. It's just to get the other person who is actually someone who I'm not going to let too much on, but he's very, very well versed in the sport of mixed martial arts. He's trained a lot of mixed martial arts. He has trained a lot of MMA athletes who are champions now. So it's a sport that to him is almost second nature. All the moves, taekwondo, judo, kickboxing, and boxing. To him, that's all second nature. So he knows the sport inside out very, very well. But that podcast is going to happen, guys, just to find the time. He's a very, very busy person. He's a celebrity PT, so you can imagine what his schedule is like on a daily basis. Everybody wants his time because he's so good at what he does. But yeah, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks.